Hi, in this tutorial I will show you how to create an n8n workflow where you will specify search keywords, for example, gyms in Stockholm, context for the email, for example, partnership to sell protein bars in all gyms in Stockholm. Then the workflow will use Google Maps to search all the gyms in Stockholm. It will get website information for all of those gyms, and then once website information is accessible, it will scrape all data from all of those websites and then look for email addresses. And once we get the emails for all of those gyms, we will use an LLM. This LLM will write an email draft that we can send directly to those gyms, and then once that is done, we can log in into Google and see all the drafts, and we can just read through it. If it is good enough, we can change our name and click on send button. So in the first step, we will create an n8n form, which is an actual HTTP request to Google Maps API. So we will use post method, and we will post information to this URL, that is maps.googleapi.com/maps/API/place/text search, and then it will end with JSON. After that, we will define authentication. We will use generic credential type, and we will use query OAuth, which means that the API key will be sent as a query in URL, and then we will create our API key. If I click on this, you can see that we are using the name that is key, and then the value is our actual API key. In order to create API key, you will go to console.cloud.google.com, and in here you will go to APIs and services, and then underneath that there is a section that is called credentials, and in here you will click on create credentials API key. Once you create your API key, you will see your API key, copy that, and then you will save it in here. Next, we will click on send query parameters, and underneath that we will use using fields below, and then the query will be the actual search query that is submitted in our form. Copy paste this information, or you can drag and drop search keyword from here into the form, and then you can see the output will be this output that was sent to us from a Google API. In the next step, we will filter this information, because in here you can see that we got a lot of information, but not all of this we need. We will create a basic JavaScript code to filter this information. Now, you can either make a screenshot of this code, and then you can send that screenshot to your LLM and ask to your LLM to write this down for you, or you can just comment n8n and I will send this workflow, and in that workflow you can get code. Code is filtering out the information that we need. You can see the output in here. We are basically only keeping the name for the gym, address, place ID, rating, user rating total, and the types. Once we have this information, we will send another HTTP request to another Google Maps API. This time we will use this API, that is place API. And by the way, in order to use those APIs, you need to enable them in Google Console. So if you come back to Google Console, and if you go to library, here we can search for Google Places, and there are two APIs, Places API and Places API new. Both of those needs to be enabled. Right now you can see that API is enabled, but for you, if it is not enabled, you can see the button that says enable, and you will just click on that button. And just for your information, you can use every month $200 within Google Cloud without the need to pay, but I will still recommend that you create a budget and you put a limit on your budget. You can put $0 for your budget, so that as soon as you cross that limit, API will stop working and you don't need to get an invoice later on. Okay, back to n8n. You will use exactly the same authentication that we created in the previous tab, and underneath query parameters you will define place ID, and then in here you will just drag and drop JSON place ID, which is an information that we got when we sent our first post API to Google Maps endpoint. And then here we will also specify another parameter, that is fields, and the value will be this one. So you can either copy paste this, or you can get it in n8n template if you comment n8n down below this video. And once we execute this one, we get the output. You can see that output is involving the website information. We will scrape all the information from the website, and after that, on the website, we will try to get information about email. So if we come out of this one right now, we have another JavaScript code where we merge business information, because we code information from two APIs. Using this code, we will merge this information and our output will look like this. We'll have the name, address, place ID, rating, user rating, total, types, phone, and website, because we could see that some gyms didn't have website, so we will filter website. For that reason, we will use a filter, and here you can see that I'm dragging JSON website in here, and then I'm creating a filter that says is not empty, which means that all the gyms that do not have a website will be filtered out, and only the ones that have website will be saved in our output. In the next step, we will scrape all the information from those websites. If I open this HTTP request, I will open the code again for you to give you opportunity to either copy this one or you will get this code in n8n workflow. And here you can see that it is scraping all the information from those websites. And if I click on show data, you can see that it's a lot of data coming from all of those websites. And in the next step, we will specifically look for website information in this data. So here we use this JavaScript code again, and our output are only websites. And in here you can see that some websites didn't involve the information about email, and we have no email field. So in the next step, we will create another filter where we will filter out all the gyms that do not have an email information. We will say is not equal to no email found, or it's not equal to user@domain.com, because user@domain.com is not an actual email. And in the output on the right side, you can see that all the emails that we got are legit emails. Now we have information about the gym, the name, and also we have the website and email. And in the next step, we will use an LLM, large language model, to create a draft for the email that we will be sending. I'm using Cloud API. You can use the LLM that you like. And in here, you will specify the URL and the method will be post. Underneath that, we will specify headers. You will use the name that is X API key. This will be different for different LLMs. And then you will specify your API key in here. And then underneath that, you will use content type, which should be application /JSON. And then the name will be Anthropic version, and the value will be for Anthropic 2023, June 1st. And then you will click on send body. And this is the code that we will send. It's a lot of code, but again, you do not have to write this. Just copy this code via doing a screenshot and then asking your LLM, for example, ChatGPT, to write down the code. Or alternatively, if you choose to comment anything and use my workflow, then you will get this code inside that workflow. So the result is what you can see on the right side. You can see email that will be drafted and sent to gyms. We have 10 results in here. We have one more step where we will format email, and for that reason we will use this JavaScript code. I will open this and give you the chance to see the code and to make a screenshot if you like. And the function with this code is that it will combine all the information connected to gyms and also the email that we will send to those gyms. So you can see business name, email address, phone, website, rating, and then email subject and email body. In the last step, we will actually create a Gmail draft. And here, of course, you can use Outlook or any other type of email provider. I'm using Gmail because this is the most common one and it's free as well. You will have Gmail account. Resource should be draft, because right now we are creating a draft email. We are not yet sending the email, and operation is create because we are creating the email. The subject is email subject. We are drag and dropping this one from left to here. And then we have email type. Message will be email body. And 2 will be JSON email. When you click on execute step, the Outlook will look like this, and there is nothing awkward about this. This basically means that all of those emails were created and they will be saved in the draft folder. If you go to your Gmail, you can see that I have a lot of draft emails, so all of those are here. You can open all of those, read what it says, and if it's good enough, you can change your name and click on send button. If you would like to get this workflow, just comment n8n and I will send you the workflow. Other than that, have a good day. Bye.